As you can probably tell by the title, today's video is so different to anything on this channel, but it's almost something that you guys have been asking for almost since I started this channel, and now we've hit 5,000 subscribers. I thought, now's about time. Now's about time I tell my story of why I went into Formula 1, why I first discovered Formula 1, and how I became a Romain Grosjean fanboy. Because I know so many of you want to know that. It's a little bit worrying, guys. Come on. Come on now. It's a long story. And so I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I'm not going to try and compress this into a certain time limit. I'm just going to say what I want to say, and that's how long it's going to be. So hopefully you sit back and enjoy the ride, and I'd love to know your Formula 1 journeys as well. I know it's probably going to be long for some of you. For some of you, you might have just got into Formula 1, so I'd love to know your journeys as well. But just a quick one from me, just to start it off. I don't want to be all mushy, anything like that, and I don't want to be cliche, but thank you guys for 5,000 subscribers. It proves that there are some people out there that actually quite like my nonsense, maybe, so that's a scary thought. However, let's crack on with my Formula 1 journey. So my time with Formula 1 started all the way back in 2006 when I was about 7 years old, and when I say about 2006, I don't think when anyone's that sort of age they have a clue of their first Formula 1 race, so I can't actually pinpoint the first race I watched, and I watched Formula 1 before 2006. However, this is how much I knew for Formula 1 because I supported the yellow team. That's right, that's what I called them. That's what I vividly remember, is just looking for the yellow cars, which now I know are the Jordan cars, but back then, no, it was the yellow cars. So that's my starting point. But my first memory of Formula 1 is 2006, the Hungarian Grand Prix. Which I'm sure for many of you thinks, oh, that's very convenient, Button's first win is your earliest memory, but I really do remember just jumping in front of the TV, me and my brother, my brother's younger than me, just asking my dad, has Button ever won before? This is so cool, this is amazing. And for some reason, yeah, on that rainy day in England, I remember it so well, I really do, and that's my earliest memory, and it was the start of my big Formula 1 fandom, because the next year, I think we all know what happened the following season, Lewis Hamilton came into Formula 1. Now, he wasn't my favourite driver, however, watching this guy my dad's a huge Formula 1 fan, and I've always watched Formula 1 with him ever since the beginning, and I still do to this day. There's only one race last year I didn't get to watch with him, and that's because I did the race watch along with Sean. So he's a big Hamilton fan, and when Hamilton came into the sport, that was something that we'd sit down every Sunday it was on. He would support Hamilton, but I didn't support Hamilton. No, that was not who I went for. I picked the guy from, at the time, what was my favourite country, which was Poland. For some crazy reason, I really enjoyed learning about Poland. I really enjoyed World War II, learning about that at school, and so Poland I found really fascinating. So yes, Robert Kubica was the man I supported every weekend, and part of me quite liked the fact that I supported someone a little bit different who wasn't winning race in, race out. So then, you know, it's all a little bit phasey back then. I remember the 2008 end to the season, Lewis Hamilton, oh, it's that Glock, oh my God. And I remember my dad saying, oh, it's over, and I think so many people have that exact same story, don't they? If we're being totally honest, everyone talks about it, and it is a true moment of Formula 1 history. So to say I was there and watched that, for me, was brilliant. And also in that year, Robert Kubica got his first Formula 1 win. So for me, that made me happy and really gave me someone that I really wanted to support in the following years. And he had a chance for the title that year, but at the same time, that wasn't even something that was in my mind, that there was title fights. It was just the race that I was really interested in back then. So 2009, again, Kubica drifted back in the pack, really. However, I think one of the big reasons so many people remember 2009, obviously, is Jenson Button's World Championship brawn. That's synonymous with Formula 1 history now, and I still find it a bit bizarre that they just came and went so quickly. And this was really a time where, because Brawn were just able to do that, I was thinking, wow, you know what, I really enjoy this, just the fact that anyone can win at any time. I mean, obviously nowadays, not so much the case, but back in 2009 and especially 2010, always put 2010 as the year that Formula 1, I really fell into love with Formula 1. There's one more year where I think really solidified my fandom, but 2010, a mega year for F1, and things like the 2 Red Bulls crashing out in Turkey, crazy, mind-blowing stuff. Kubica, my boy as well, the guy who I still supported, he moved to Renault, and I moved to Renault with him. I became a Renault fan for one season, and he got his podium in Monaco. Really loved seeing that, and at the time, Sebastian Vettel winning the championship, I was very happy with that. Although a lot of people would have loved to have seen Hamilton, Button, even Mark Webber take that championship, or even Fernando Alonso, Vettel did take it, and at the time, I was very happy, and you'll see a little bit later on why I say at the time. However, one of the big things in 2010 was the game. The official Formula 1 game, I got it for my birthday, I believe it was, so it was actually in 2011 I got the game. But for many new fans, especially of the younger generation, Formula 1 games is how they got into the sport, learnt the drivers, learnt the tracks, and for me, that was something massive that helped me really learn more and more about Formula 1, and it's a tool that I still use today and love sinking my teeth into a career mode. So that was around about the time where everything was coming together. 2011, obviously, for me, a bit of a strange year. Robert Kubica had his accident, was supposed to join Lotus, and so I supported Lotus for the year. Nick Heifeld partnered Vitaly Petrov at the team, but it was a little bit strange. I was really thinking, well, I'm not really supporting a driver anymore, it's more the team. So what do I do from here? You know, Vettel won the championship again, getting a little bit stale, but wow, 2012. Now this is the year that I say, yeah, this is where my fanboyism came from. Kimi Raikkonen returned to Formula 1, Romain Grosjean as well, came back into Formula 1, and for whatever reason, I loved Lotus that year. I really did. Whether it was the fact that the previous season I was like, oh, maybe a team dynamic rather than just a driver dynamic. Maybe that will be interesting. And wow, they were smashing it almost instantaneously. Podium straight away. Kimi instantly was my favourite driver. Instantly, Kimi Raikkonen was my F1 fanboy. That was it. And I remember going into school if he got a podium saying, guys, Kimi got a podium. And yeah, that really was mega. And Roman at the same time really was the team that I was supporting. Although it was Kimi just a bit in front of Roman, although I'm sure most of you guessed that switches round a little bit later on. But you can probably guess why Roman wasn't my favourite in the early days. And the incident you're seeing on screen, Spa 2012, that was a big, weird, scary time for me as a Lotus fan, thinking, oh dear, this guy who, in my eyes and many people's eyes, was a rookie. Really, his first full year of Formula 1, which I suppose wasn't even his first full year because he got that race ban. Jerome D'Ambrosio came for that one-off race in Monza. But Roman came back straight after that and really calmed down his act. And whew, boy, do I remember Abu Dhabi 2012. It was one of my favourite races of all time. It really is, mainly because it was Kimi's first win back. But that year in Formula 1 really was something crazy for me. And at the end of 2012, there was no way I was never watching Formula 1 again. And from that day onwards, after Abu Dhabi, Lotus were my team 1,000,000%. 2013 got off to a good start, didn't it? Kimi winning the first race of the year, Roman picking up multiple podiums across the season. It was looking so rosy. And I was thinking, you know what? Going into the hybrid era next year, they could have a naughty team. We could actually maybe challenge for the title if Lotus get things right. Well, something didn't quite go to plan at the end of the season, and the team decided to stop paying Kimi Raikkonen. Yes, they decided to stop paying my star driver, my boy, and, well, the worst news possible for a Kimi Raikkonen Lotus fan. He left the team before the season officially ended, which was crazy. It was, it really got to me. And I was thinking, well, is he going to come back for next year? Surely he wouldn't leave the team. We had Heikki Kovalainen come in for the final, was it 2 or 3 races of the season? Roman smashed him to pieces. And I was really, you know, I was thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen to my Kimi? Well, he left. And again, a little bit like when I first started to support Lotus, I was left with this decision. Do I support Lotus or do I support Kimi? And I made this decision to stay with Lotus. I mean, probably because I had all the merchandise. You know, that was a big factor in it, of course. But also because I'd really come to love Romain Grosjean. And he was someone that I really saw as someone that could win races and could potentially win championships. So 2014, oh dear, that's an ugly car. That's an ugly car. Two little anteater noses on the front. Oh God. Well, it's not quick either, blimey. This can't get much worse, can it? Jesus crikeys. Oh, you should have gone to Ferrari with Kimi, Dan. You shouldn't have stuck around for this. Pastor Maldonado. Now, I think you can tell in my voice, even now I was disappointed that he got the seat. Because I remember vividly at the time, Nico Hülkenberg, another driver that I love, he's still one of my favourite drivers on the grid. He was heavily linked with Lotus, but he didn't have the sponsorship and the backing. So instead, we had this guy who decided he was going to just destroy the car every weekend. You know, not only was the car slow, they lost loads of money every weekend almost. And, oh, it was such a tough time being a Lotus fan 2014. I mean, 100% this year, I was like, yeah, Roman's my boy now. Lotus, yeah, I love Lotus, but at the same time, I'm not supporting Pastor Maldonado. So this was the time where Grosjean, he became my number one. And so, going into 2015, Lotus, yeah, they were my boys, and there was no way I was never going to stop watching Formula 1 again. I had fully been invested, so much so that for my 16th birthday, I was lucky enough to receive a little gift to go to Spa in 2015. My first ever race live in Formula 1. And you're going to see some clips here from the weekend, and it was an incredible weekend. Now, apologies that 16-year-old Dan didn't realise you could flip the phone and put this in decent resolution, but this is old footage, you know, so I really had to scrounge to find this, but I thought it was very fitting for this video because this was a major part of my Formula 1 story. It really was. You can see I was milking the tickets a little bit, and we were actually sat for the weekend at the top of Eau Rouge, so I'll just quickly play you a few little video clips. They won't be too long, and then I'll jump back into it. Go on, Roman! Go on! That was me. That was me. I was buzzing. And if you don't know the story of Spa 2015, my guy, Romain Grosjean, got a podium for Lotus, which was incredible. The team that showed up to that weekend, not having any money, weren't even sure if they were going to race. Grosjean stuck it up fourth on the grid, had a grid penalty, so was chucked back halfway in the midfield, had an incredible race, and yeah, that really is stuff of dreams, that he got a podium at my first weekend. And funnily enough, I skipped this little bit, but I actually went to Spa on crutches. I had dislocated my knee in the summer before, and so I have the incredible story to say that at my first ever Formula 1 weekend, not only did Lotus get their last ever podium in Formula 1, who were my team, I had to climb Eau Rouge on crutches. So yeah, there was no wheelchairs or anything like that they could give me. I had to do it on crutches, which was a lot of fun, a lot of pain, put it that way. So yeah, gutted to hear at the end of 2015 Lotus would be leaving the sport, and so I was stuck with a very strange decision. Firstly, do I stick with the Enstone team, the team that were Lotus, were bought out by Renault? So do I stick with them? They've got a British driver coming in, Jolyon Palmer, Lotus third driver, that's potential. Kevin Magnussen in the car though, someone I, wasn't a big fan of, so a little bit wary of that. Or do I follow my boy Grosjean and go to Haas F1, the new American team on the grid, but they had Esteban Gutierrez in the car, who I wasn't a fan of, so it was a weird one. And for 2016, I didn't really support anyone. There are a few drivers I liked, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Grosjean, but then the next year in 2017, Stoffel Van Dorn came on the grid. Yeah, this came out of nowhere, and I'd followed him in GP2. It was the first real year I watched GP2 that year. And I thought, this guy's special. I really like orange. This is a match made in heaven. So I thought, yeah, I could support Van Dorn, but I couldn't really shake the fact that I liked Van Dorn, but it wasn't my Roman. And throughout those couple of years, my blip in Formula 1 fandom, I found my favourite again. And no big surprise, it was Romain Grosjean. Now, I will say, before we get on to 2018, in 2017, I went to my second ever live race, this time in Silverstone, the first and only time I have been to Silverstone, and again, another incredible weekend. A very different experience going to a Formula 1 race, almost as a neutral. And yes, at this race, I did pick up Van Dorn gear and McLaren gear, but that was mainly because there was no Haas F1 gear. Being in their second year, no one really supported them that much. But this time, as you can see, this footage here is taken from my Silverstone vlog, which is on the very early days of this channel. I was sat at Beckett's, which I could also see Sector 1, Abbey, and then down the whatever straight. Is the straight Abbey? I should know this, shouldn't I? But Sector 1. I could see quite a bit of Sector 1, which you can just see there in the background a little bit on the other side of that wall. But I'll leave you with this footage from the race. So yeah, if you want to see any more of that, it's over on the channel. If you go through the archives, it is there. But again, another amazing weekend. A Lewis Hamilton win. So both races I've been to, Lewis Hamilton has won. It's been a Mercedes 1-2. At the same time, there's been a aborted first lap, an aborted start. So there's a lot of strange facts for me in the world of Formula 1. But this time, I got to go on the track. I wasn't on crutches this time, so that was a big positive for me. And again, it really is something special going to F1 races. But at the end of the season, something else happened, which I definitely didn't expect to start. And what an awful logo that is. Yeah, that was day one logo of F1 reviews, when I didn't have even 10 subscribers, or even one at the very time. So yeah, it's been one full season of Formula 1, and the reason I started the channel was to react to the Formula One's new logo, the Formula Ones. I'm never going to say that again, but I also am going to keep that in there because that sounded quite funny. But yeah, to react to the logo, which ever since I've done videos on Formula One and ever since I've followed my man, Romain Grosjean. And I think what really solidified me to become back to being a Grosjean fan was that first race of the year in Melbourne. They had the pace again. I thought, yes, we're going to see classic Grosjean in a car that can compete. But seeing his reaction to the team at the end of the season, well, at the end of the race, sorry, when they had those mistakes in the pit stops, I was like, yeah, this guy's my favourite driver. I'm going to have to support him. So the big thing for 2018, surprisingly enough, wasn't the fact that my boy Romain decided to smash himself out of almost every race at the beginning of the season. The crazy time of year came in the summer. Sorry that doesn't fit the screen, that image, but it really sums up my 2018, I feel. Just sitting in my room, talking to you guys, making videos, and in the summer period, not only was that the biggest time for my channel, talking about all the driver transfers and everything like that, but it was also the time I got my first chance to work with my boy Sean, to work with John T, the F1 Word crew, and it was the 22nd of August, maybe, the weekend before Spa. I was invited onto the Sunday stream, which was a weird experience for me. Not in terms of the fact that I was on it, but the fact that I was invited. You know, all I was doing is, while I was doing my A-level exams, planning to go to uni, I was just throwing up my idiotic thoughts online. So the fact that they wanted my input was very strange. And I love it now. I really do. And I feel I've made some really good friends. They probably disagree. They probably hate me. No, I think, yeah, it's been mad. It really has been mad. And those guys have given me not only a platform, but they've really opened my eyes to how much fun I have doing this. And it really has blossomed into something that I love to do. And I'm at university now, and it's something that has opened so many doors for me. And it's weird because I talk to some of the guys at uni, shout out to Dan, there you go, man. And it's weird because it's almost like I live a double life, where in the day I'm doing accounting and finance, big up accounting and finance, and then as soon as I get home, I'm in this work mode where I'm doing stuff with Formula E Zone, which blossomed over the winter period, doing things for them, doing a podcast with an actual company, doing things with Autosport, being invited with media accreditation to Autosport, meeting Karan Chandok. In 2019, it really has been a mega start to the year, and my channel has grown incredibly. We've almost doubled since the end of 2018. It blows my mind a little bit sometimes. So I think that's it for my F1 journey. I think you've probably heard about enough. And for 2019, you know I'm going to be supporting my boy Romain Grosjean. We're starting the Grosjean army. It's really coming together now. So if you haven't enlisted, all you have to do is subscribe. Join the 5,000 strong Grosjean army. But thank you guys for listening to this one. It means a lot to me. And I've had a lot of fun actually reminiscing and telling you guys about my journey, because it's something I've wanted to do for quite some time. And I think it's something a little bit different, rather than your run-of-the-mill, I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan from day one. So thank you guys for listening, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.